Hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Dish, from Above Board TV, from Nerd About Podcast,
And
from all sorts of stuff.
And the least most professional person you'll ever meet in podcasting. And this is the Podfather
believe
of Gaming.
I got the hardware
Stephen
moving,
Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 343. And we're recording this on November 14th, 2024. Board Games Insider is proud to be powered by Board Game Geek. Corey, together, look at this. Look how pretty we look together.
Actual physical contact here, despite the restraining order.
Despite the restraining order. But we're also half blinded by light coming in through these very open windows.
I think I shine angelically.
Yes. Corey, where are we? What is this? Why is this so momentous again that we're sitting here together?
We are at BGG Con.
This is right.
We're in Dallas, Texas at the Hyatt Regency in the bar area, which is like the social center of BGG Con. And it's one of my very favorite cons of the year. This is a game-playing con.
Yes.
Visiting, socializing, seeing friends from all over the place.
And I'd like to point out two things here. Number one, that this is the first time since we've been powered by Board Game Geek that we've been at BoardGameGeek.con, right? BGG Con. Now one of the largest regional conventions, about 3,500. I don't have the exact number. I'll get that from Jeff Anderson at some point. But then the second thing is, Corey, you said we're in the bar here. I like to point out this is 9:30 a.m. There is no alcoholic beverages around here. I will be drinking this Diet Pepsi in a moment to keep my voice a little.
It's a large lounge, so it's really the most convenient place.
You're gonna hear a lot of background noise here. There's obviously a certain amount of vibrancy to when we do this live at a convention.
Absolutely.
Now, there's not many people here. There are people in rooms behind us. There are people sitting around at the bar eating food. I don't believe anybody's drinking alcohol.
Breakfast restaurant's right over there.
So there'll be some noise here, and I hope that's minimized enough. But I think it's always interesting when we're at a live show to do that with a little that live ambiance.
Oh, absolutely.
Corey, what is going on in your life, my friend?
Oh, man. Well, BGG has been amazing.
Yep.
I caught up with one of my old friends who I haven't talked to in a while, Chaz Marler, who is part of Watch It Played. He was on my flight from Denver into Dallas. And so we caught up and we've been visiting a bunch. I was visiting with Rodney Smith, who's here.
That's right.
I had a absolutely amazing lunch with Isaac Vega and the whole team from Rose Gauntlet Games. Love those people.
Yep.
And Isaac's a local, so he showed me all the really cool places to go eat. Our bee video dropped.
I know, amazing.
Playing apiary covered in honeybees. So this dropped just a few days ago. It'll be a good week by the time this comes out. But it was so fun, and a huge thank you to Stonemaier Games for sponsoring that. Had a fantastic time. But mostly, I mean, the news is BGG Con. It's game playing. It's visiting with, with everybody.
Yeah.
It's such a nice industry, seeing people you haven't seen in a while sort of show.
I feel like Dallas is almost like another home for me. Every time I come, I see many of the same people that I don't know who just come up. This is one of those cons. People come up like, Bonacore, hey, Podfather. It's so wonderful to get that, that vibe and that wonderful feeling from everybody. And as Corey mentioned before, we literally hang out here in the evenings, and it is the social center of BGG Con. People come, they have an adult beverage or just a soda or a water, and they sit here, play some light games, and just relax after a long day of hard gaming.
Yeah, life is difficult.
Life is difficult when you're at a convention sometimes. Anyway, over here at the Podfather of Gaming, we just left Lobster Trap in Boston with a side trip to Salem, Massachusetts to see the witches and all that stuff. And I'm going to give a big shout out to both Lobster Trap for their hospitality. It's really, really great being there. It's an invitation convention event in Wakefield, Massachusetts. But specifically, another thing to Salem, Massachusetts. What an interesting, lovely city. City is really a stretch. I mean, it is a city, like, municipality wise, but there's like there's like no building that's more than 2 stories tall.
But it's decently big. It's about 100,000 people.
It certainly doesn't seem it. Maybe
That's nice. I like that.
It's 100,000 tourists, I think, maybe there. But we were there. We were there after the Halloween holiday when it's mobbed. I mean, it literally is mobbed in that area.
There you go.
But we just went up and down the main drags, had some great meals. Saw some amazing witch-related things, but also a shout out to the Peabody, or they say Pibbity. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know.
Peabody Essex Museum. It is a world-class museum. You can spend an entire day there, which we did, going through that museum. It's that big, and we also went on some tours that were part of the museum that you have to pay extra for. They have a completely a Chinese home that was built in the 1600s in China and was lived in continuously for 250 years in China. They deconstructed the home and reset it up in the museum.
Wow.
And they did this because for a cultural exchange, which is so cool. Maybe when the relations were a little better with China, that in the 1980s, I believe, they put this home back there, and you can go in and see how Chinese people lived during that 250-year period. Amazing place to go visit.
No, I haven't been to Salem since I was a kid, and it's amazing. I got to head back.
Yeah. After BGG Con, and by the way, I wore the ring on tap with Candace Harris, my good friend. Gonna have to show her how that game is played. After this, we go home for Thanksgiving. We're gonna host some friends for like a Friendsgiving, I guess, in our house. Non-industry people, just local friends. And then we'll go to PAX U. I'll see you again there. We'll probably do another one of these there. Christmas then with the family in New Jersey, and that wraps up the year. But in the meantime, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get to the event deck. First thing, a correction from episode 341. Amber Cook, we talked about, who had passed away. We didn't get her age right, or that of her son. Amber was age 43, and her son is age 6, which is really, really sad on every level.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We want to put out there that there is a GoFundMe page for her son James. If you have had your lives influenced, changed by Amber, and so many of us have, please go visit. If you go to GoFundMe.com and search for Amber Cook, you'll find it. It's the first one that comes up.
Right, and again, anybody who can give something, there's nothing too small. Whatever you can do, that would be great. An asset to the game industry. Moving into our big market news story, the Tabletop Games market-focused insight report came out. And Corey, you were very excited for this, weren't you?
I may have written in the notes that this was very boring.
He literally wrote right in the notes, boring, and he didn't want me to talk about it. And we are right now having...
This is why you have me here. It's the back and forth collaboration, my endless constructive criticism.
So you know what, Corey? We're on hotel Wi-Fi here.
Yeah.
And I cannot... Oh, here we go. And finally, after that very long lead-in, just to make this actually come up, we have some information now to share with you. So this came off of GlobeNewsWire.com. So this is not even a board game hobby, any centric site. This is a business site, so most people out there wouldn't see this thing. So we grabbed this, and did this come from our good friend Marion? Let's give Marion a shout out, right? Didn't she send it to you? You said boring, so she sent it to me. Yes, that is what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. You notice I didn't put the story in.
So thank you, Marion, who is a friend of the show and very good friend of ours. And we'll see her tonight. Tabletop Games Market-Focused Insight Report for 2024 through 2029. Some predictions, obviously, are in here. They're featuring the key players like Asmodee. Notice they were first in this. Asmodee, Hasbro, Mattel, and Ravensburger.
Yep.
Comes out of Dublin. The tabletop games market was valued at $27.27 billion in 2023 and is expected to reach $49.17 billion in 2029. So over a 5-year period, we're going to be getting a CAGR that's a very cool business term, of 10.32%. It increase compounding of the size of this industry.
I think you're just making up words.
It is not. It's a CAGR, and I can't remember what the acronym is, but I know it's a compounding of how large this is going to grow over time. Obviously projections are a dime a dozen, but a noted group here, Market and Research, the world's largest market research store, is putting this up, saying that we're going to see this continue double-digit growth over the next, technically they're talking about 6 years, maybe it's end of 23 to beginning of 29, whatever,
Sure.
but over a 5-year plus period, 10% per year they're predicting. Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm just blown away that it's going to be double value inside of that 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about during the golden era. I mean, I guess we're almost past that time where the growth was like 20% a year or more. It was crazy during the early part of the 21st century, the 2000 to 2010. That was just tremendous growth. You saw all these companies popping up, growth across the board. The rise of Asmodee going out there and buying up all of these very interesting small companies. But then we're in a period of that consolidation where certain companies are not doing well. They're going out of business. Some of them are coming together to form bigger partnerships so they can survive. But it's very interesting, and that's the big takeaway from this. There's also a few more facts in here. North America dominates the largest share of over 28% of the global tabletop market. That just makes sense. The U.S. with U.S. and Canada, right? Two of the, let's say, 5 or 6 biggest economies in the world, right? The U.S. is the largest economy in the world, and Canada is probably around the 6th, right, in that area. So we obviously dominate that total.
And they talked a little bit about demographics with Zoomers and families with children being the primary demographics in the growth.
Right. Anyway, very interesting article from a source that we don't normally go to, globenewswire.com. Thanks, Marion, for that, even though it was a boring story that Corey said it was here.
I'm humoring you.
So we have something really interesting here. Again, a news story, and it's an Asmodee. So I'm on their mailing list, which talks about their financials. They're a publicly traded company. We talk about it all the time. Their financials are constantly coming out every quarter, and they just released their Q2 financials. And this indicated for their second quarter, they're not on a calendar-based quarter system. So just note that this is July to September, but that's their second quarter, fiscal second quarter. They had a significant net sales decrease of 21%. And now that's and minus 14% organic growth. That would mean not via acquisitions and sales of companies.
Right.
So their organic growth was negative 14%. Still with a significant number. Now they quote these numbers in Swedish kroner, but if you take off a digit, it's about the number that would make sense. It's 855 million US, give or take, probably a little bit less.
Because this is a time period from July to September, does this cover when Asmodee actually went independent?
No. So Asmodee right now is not independent.
Still not independent.
This is, and I guess I didn't mention, this is, did I say Embracer Group? This is Embracer Group.
My apologies. You probably said it.
This is Embracer Group, which Asmodee is owned by. Asmodee is becoming another independent company in the near-ish future. By April 1 of next year, you should be able to go out and just, yay, people are screaming it. Just buy Asmodee stock right now. You can buy Embracer stock. So it was interesting to see the breakdown of the how the decreases went. PC console games decreased by 46%, mobile games by 8%. Excuse me.
Well, and the digital side does seem like they're divesting from it to a certain extent. They did sell off Gearbox, which then was bought by 2K, and that was the home of Borderlands and a couple other properties.
Right. Entertainment and services decreased by 10%, and tabletop games actually performed the best. Good news for us. Decreased by only 6%. Now, companies
sure.
of this size, you're gonna get these kinds of fluctuations. This is not a death knell, of course. Asmodee is still doing very well. Embracer is still doing well, we'll say. Asmodee very well. And I think that we reported on that it's only going to get better, really, once Asmodee is independent again and cranking out games the way they do and doing their own distribution and all that. So this is not a death knell by any stretch of the imagination. They also reported today, both of these press releases came out today, right into my email box. You're getting this immediate off the presses here, Corey. I'm a real news person, unlike you. So the Embracer Group divested, as you mentioned they were doing, from Easy Brain, so selling it to Mini Clip for a consideration, a cost, a profit, or a payment of $1.2 billion US. That's a big sale.
Wow.
Now, do you know Easy Brain? I don't know this company.
I don't know them offhand, but I would bet anything they're on the digital side.
Yeah, exactly, on the digital side, and they've been getting rid of these companies. But to see that a big amount of so key transaction components, the purchase price it was on a cash and debt-free basis, amounted to $1.2 billion US for 100% of the company, and is paid 100% in cash. So guess what? As Embracer Group just got $1.2 billion US in cash flow,
Which pretty much covers their debt.
which pretty much covers all the debt that Asmodee was assuming.
So it looks like the exit strategy is Asmodee as a whole will sell off / divest their digital side. Then they'll break up, and the digital side will be its own company, and Asmodee will be its own company.
Yeah, use Embracer with all those
my
words.
apologies.
Right. But yeah, I know it is confusing.
Embracer
is
will
going to
divest off of digital to make money to cover the debt that they're going to put on Asmodee, the board game side, when it goes independent.
Exactly. Very, very good. So these are really interesting stories that just came out today. And, you know, we obviously follow Asmodee more intensely than others because, like the Dow Jones industrial effect, those only 30 companies that they talk about all the time, as the big players go, so goes the market. That's the reason for an index on Wall Street called the Dow Jones. Only 30 companies, but the big companies kind of drive things in the end. Okay. Cinderella story. You brought this one out.
No, this was Ignacy.
Oh, look at him. He's so good. He works for us even when he's not here.
So the basic take home of this is it's a Kickstarter story of Little Guy Done Good. So this is an independent role-playing game Kickstarter for Trench Crusade. And being an independent role player, you don't expect a lot, but it's made, I believe, about $1.2 million at this point.
Without great internet connection here in the hotel, I'm trying to bring up the story. This is, directly from Kickstarter.
Yep. The creators are Factory Fortress, and so far, I am way off. I looked a week ago, and now when I'm looking, it's at 3.3 million.
20,000 backers. Any company on the planet would be happy to get 20,000 backers on a crowdfunding campaign, and they raised $3.3 million. Do you want to go down?
I want to see the top again.
Okay,
the description is it's a truly heretical skirmish war game set in an alternate World War I.
So that's, this is an RPG, you're saying, right, as well?
I was under the impression that it's an RPG company. But it sounds more like a war game. Again, Ignacy brought this up. Yeah, this is a miniatures war game.
This is a miniatures war game.
I misspoke.
How interesting is it that a miniatures war game, right? I mean, that's like a very niche portion. I mean, it's big, right? Like Games Workshop, tremendous, obviously, company.
Sure.
But, to people like you or me or the 90% of the people here, we don't play miniatures war games yet. And we, of course, use Kickstarter like crazy and GameFound, etc. And here, 20,000 backers have shown up and all want to back this. And Ignacy's kind of point here, and maybe we can even mention it next time when he's here, he says the campaign ran with modesty, transparency, and passion, and that's why they're doing so well. So kudos to... it's a real Cinderella story, is the reason that Ignacy wanted it on the list. Right.
Little Guy Does Good.
What's the name? I mean, and you can go look at that, obviously, on Kickstarter.com, called Trench Crusade. What is the company? It's called
Factory Fortress.
Factory Fortress, Inc. So thank you, Ignacy, for that. Well, I'm sure he's going to be back next week when we're all back in our normal time zones. Last one we have here is from Board Game Wire, our good friends over there doing great work. And Corey, you put this here. It's about the toy industry.
So the announcements for the Toy of the Year awards, the nominees, were announced at their convention, which is, I think, just winding up now. So what's really interesting is in the past, this was really dominated by toys. So I could tell you all the nominees for Toy of the Year, Product of the Year, but quite honestly, I haven't heard of any of them. I don't follow the toy industry, and it's not the focus of either of us. However, they also gave their nominees for Game of the Year. And there's some big titles in there. Life in Reterra from Hasbro. So congratulations to Eric Lang.
Right?
And that's a really prominent one. But also Chronicles of Light, Darkness Falls from Ravensburger. And Gnome Hollow from the Op.
Yep.
So congratulations to Ammon Anderson. Gnome Hollow absolutely shook up the industry a couple years ago at Gamma. And there was a little bit of a bidding war of which publisher was going to get Gnome Hollow, a very good family-level game. And it went to OP, and they dropped it. The big release was this Gen Con in August. So it's doing great. So it's been nominated for Game of the Year.
So now it sounds like also that the Toy of the Year Awards hasn't put any serious games in there in the past, right? It's always been like
this is
mass
very
kind
new,
of stuff, right?
They've been focused on mass,
Right.
absolutely. And Reterra rides that fine line. Reterra is technically mass, but it's probably the most complicated, the most close to strategy that mass has right now.
Very, very cool. Well, that's all the news we have for this week. I think there was some really good stories in there. Let's get over to strategy and tactics.
Well,
all right.
If you say so.
Yeah, we have to. All right, so Kevin Wardener, he's Jercules. Love that name.
That is awesome.
He goes, why isn't there a World Series of TCGs? Obviously, each TCG has its own player base and organized play, but would be interesting to see the World Series of Board Gaming competition formula applied to TCGs as well.
I think it's just an idea of genres and popularity. Think about it. We only started the World Series of Board Games
3 years.
3 years ago.
Three
this is
times.
pretty new territory,
Yep.
and we're trying to cover all of board games in this. So now you're talking about niche genres under this big, broad banner of board game.
Having said niche, I mean, Magic the Gathering and it sells $500 million
Magic the
a
Gathering
year.
is huge,
Right.
but Magic the Gathering has its own world championships and all this. But having one just for TCGs, CCGs, LCGs, whatever you want to call them nowadays.
Right.
I think it's coming. I think it's a potential, but we need to see how popular the board game one is first.
Sure. And you know, companies like Wizards of the Coast, and I'm going to say it, but don't take it with the exact meaning that you might. They don't play well with others sometimes, meaning they're so big that they don't need to be seen with other people. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way, but just think about it. If you've got the collectible card game or TCG, trading card game, whatever you want to call them these days, if you have the one that outsells everything else combined by a factor of 10, why should you get involved with this? But maybe an independent company like the World Series of Board Gaming branches out in this direction. Give us some time, and who knows? That was, by the way, that was not a.
You know a guy?
I know a guy, and maybe we can do something there. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, there's no plans on the horizon, but it is an interesting idea to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Christine McCullough, also a very good friend of the show, she's at Woogie's. She is asking a question here. It says the setting. Board games with apps. Let's say a game made in 2020 has an app that is required to play the game. In the future, say 2030, Corey has not played the game. See, she calls you right out there.
Wow.
Right, that's amazing. You would not have played a game in 10
She
years.
didn't call you out.
No, of course not. then the app doesn't work. The question, is
Yeah.
it good or bad or whatever in the longevity of a title to be dependent on an app? Can a title be evergreen if the app becomes obsolete?
This is a great question,
Yeah.
and it's one that people debate about all the time. So there is a little bit of a dependency, and there have been some games where the app has disappeared. The most famous example was Spectre Ops. There was an app to drive Spectre Ops. The app was an independent app. It was actually designed by Emerson. And
Really?
the
Emerson
app,
yeah,
he's a computer programmer.
Yes,
originally,
I do know that.
Originally, he
Can
started.
we get his
in
name
that.
right, please?
Emerson Matsuuchi.
Matsuuchi. Emerson is a genius
He
in
is.
game design.
And he's
Foundations
such
of Rome,
a
of
nice
course.
guy.
So cool.
But due to circumstances, contracts, and the evolution of technology, the app no longer works with newer versions of
iOS,
the iOS
and Android probably.
And Emerson doesn't have
The
the bandwidth to go and redo the app. So that app has kind of gone away. Now it's playable without the app, but that's an example of one. The other one is Golem Arcana was app driven, and the game kind of disappeared because the app disappeared.
So here's a quote unquote way around this that I think.
Yep, I've got one too.
Yeah, so I think many current developers, companies are moving more toward when you don't need an app, but you need technology.
Yes.
If you put it on a website.
That's exactly
Yeah.
it.
So that is just as good as an app, if not better, because it's a bigger screen normally
And
that
it
you're going
was
to put it on.
started by, again, Plaid Hat Games. It was Plaid Hat's Forgotten Waters. It
And
was the first one to use web-driven.
And Freelancers.
Freelancers is the sequel.
It's the sequel. And Ignacy's Detective, right? Portal Games Detective, and that whole series. Hey, we got some
We're
friends.
getting harassed by Mr. Scott Morris from Lucky Duck Games.
Wait, sorry for taking that little thing, but Scott Morris is here. Scott, why don't you give us 1 second of your time, if you don't mind? So sorry for taking this little side thing. But Scott Morris, again, he's one of these icons in the industry. Whatever. Yeah, he won't admit to that, but he's just such a wonderful man.
What are we doing?
So this is Board Game Insider.
we're
recording
Board Game
at
Insider.
the moment.
So you've appeared with us.
I have manifested myself
no.
into Board Game Insider.
No, what I was trying to say, you've appeared with us.
I love it.
You've appeared. We interviewed you.
Yeah.
When you had the merger.
Yeah,
Right?
did that happen? Yeah. Oh yeah, it did. Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. You gave us the
That is
the
true.
exclusive on that the
Yeah.
merger with
Goliath.
Yep.
So that was about a year or so ago, and
Oh
so
no, that was only like 6 months ago. Yeah.
Oh, was it?
April? Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
it's
I know
amazing
time
how time
flies as you
flies,
get
right?
older, man.
Oh, it's crazy.
But Scott, you're here. You're not here for the first time, but your wife is here for the
My
first time.
wife is here. Betsy is here for the first time. yeah.
And you are one of the Ultimate Geek sponsors
Yep.
of BGG Con. So
Yep.
a bunch of companies there, they're allowed to do something above and beyond, and they give out games. And when you
Yep.
think about it, when there's like 3,000 people here, you're giving out a lot of games
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So thank
Yeah.
you for being that Ultimate Geek sponsor.
Yeah,
And thank
sure.
you for everything you do for the industry. You've done some amazing stuff between all the companies that you've been part of. And
Yeah.
what he's saying is you're old and you've been in the industry.
Yeah.
a long
Yeah, that's what I'm
time.
hearing. Yeah. Thank you for being old. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being alive. No, it's great, man. I love BGG. This is actually my favorite show of the year.
That's
it's,
great.
It's like the family reunion. It's the
Yeah.
end of the year.
Absolutely, we were
You've
talking
reached-
about that earlier.
Yeah.
That everybody you know just shows up and it's like a big reunion, like a big get together.
And then I come in and disrupt podcasts.
You're
and
completely
everything goes
ruining
crazy,
our
so-
format.
You're one of
Yeah.
my favorite people.
You are.
Man.
Oh man, I love you. I love you both.
I
So-
literally added you to a messenger group like this morning to
Oh,
make
did you?
sure that we get together
Sweet.
and
Let's do it.
eat a meal or
I'm
have a
ready.
drink or something like that. So
I'm ready to do it.
Perfect.
a messenger group. You got
I
to
will be on there, and my wife is here, so she can keep me on track to make
Yes.
sure I respond to everything.
Well, of course,
so.
she's the better half.
No,
as
this
they
show's
always
great.
are.
If anyone's listening and you haven't come to this show, come to this show. It's amazing. You get to hang around with some amazing industry people. You get to see some fun things. You get to play some fun games. It's
And
just
it is a
super fun.
game-playing focused
Yes.
show,
With-
which
with-
is great.
With a library that is rivaled by none. I mean, they've got every new release out of Essen. They've
It's
got
true.
thousands and thousands and thousands of games from the past as well. So if they don't have it, it like doesn't exist almost. It's
That
kind
is
of thing.
true. That is true. Either that or it's in your basement, right?
Well, yeah, it's-
yeah.
I got a few of those.
Yeah, it's like the Ark of the Covenant, like hidden away. Now that you've got those shelves, like that's where it's hidden. So,
It might
but-
be.
Awesome.
man.
I will let you
Yeah.
guys get back to
Alrighty,
being
sir.
awesome. Thank you for letting me interrupt. I'll
Yes,
see you
no
later.
problem.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
man.
Scott Morris, Lucky Duck and Goliath games. Awesome. So back to Christine's question here. Using a website-based
App-driven.
app is a better way of doing it. So
it works, and it holds the test of time. If you're driving it on a website, then it's probably not going to date out on you.
Right, exactly. There we go. There was another thing here. Oh, I don't remember what that was from, so we're going to go past that one. I had kind of like footnoted.
Oh, sure.
Our friend Vincenzo Alvarello, he's Zacho Soldier. We used his question for the last episode. We're going to be getting the answers soon.
He's our new go-to writer. It means I can go home.
There you go. He says, I think this has been asked before, but maybe it's changed since last time. What's the process for a publisher getting a special version of a game into Target, Walmart, physical stores? I'm thinking of the new physically slimmed down edition of Scout that's in Target for about half the price. My guess would be Oink, in this case, they're the publishers of Scout, would realize that they have something that could get into a store, but the current price point would be too much for the audience, or would Target go, we'd love to carry this, but. So who initiates that conversation? Go ahead, Corey.
Well, Target and Walmart will send buyers to various shows, especially the big industry shows, Gen Con, Gamma, Barnes & Noble as well. But Target and Walmart, the basic deal is they have requirements of how many units you need to give them, how much space they're allowed to take up, and what price point they have to hit. And this is a double-edged sword for a lot of publishers. They might have to redo their game. They might have to make it a different size and a different price.
Right.
And there are secondary companies that will do this for them. Calling back, Goliath is a company that famously will take large strategy games and make them the right size and price point to fit on the shelves. The other downside is a lot of times if you have an order that they want to put on the shelves, you're often obligated to buy it back if it doesn't sell.
There's this thing called buybacks that could really, really hurt small publishers.
Yeah, it's rough.
It could be really, really rough. But the part there that needs to be addressed that Vincenzo's mentioning is like, who initiates this? And the answer to that question is usually you go through an agent of some kind. Now, who is that? Companies like PSI and Flat River Games have relationships with Barnes & Noble, with Target, with Walmart, with all these companies. And when they see something that looks like, wow, this is a great game, and wow, maybe this thing can be shrunk to be the right price point, they will work with Target to say, we think this will work with you, and we think we can get it into this format at this price. And then Target or Walmart will be like, whoa, okay, if you think it's that good and those ratings are that good, and we'll go with that and we'll give it a shot.
Every one of those big box guys works a little differently. Like Barnes & Noble, I think, is more forward aggressive, that their agents will seek out games at the shows, and they may initiate more often.
Right. Very good. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ben Stein,
Very good friend of the show. I actually went and had a lovely dinner at Ben's house in Maryland, and we played games. It was amazing.
That is cool. He's Ben-O-Nem Music.
Ben One Music.
Ben One Music. Very good. And I'm going to, before I even read this, I got to tell you an amazing messenger text that I got overnight from Ben Stein.
Oh,
And
okay.
I might get choked up as I say it. But Ben reached out to me and he said, thank you so much for what I said on the last podcast with the pronouns in Mass Effect. He said he has a, I believe, son, I apologize, it's son who is trans, and he was so happy that I took the stand. I took a very get over yourself kind of stand that this is fine. No one's putting an agenda into the game. It is very based on the game itself. You don't like it, don't buy the game. But,
it is.
So he was so happy that he did it. He said he was going to show it to his son, get the game for his son, and all that. So,
and again, BioWare's Mass Effect was one of the first video games that addressed these things and did it well and did it organically.
Yes.
So that's our story last time. I'm a little heated about it.
Yeah. So thank you, Ben, for those words. And he said he's going to be here. He's going to be
good.
here. So and we're going to hopefully meet here. I mean, I said to him, hey, make sure we meet. That'd be great. So thank you, Ben. Now his question.
Yes.
I was going to go right past this question. Stephen Brinkley says that Kickstarter backers crowdfunding backers, let's change that a little bit, should be aware that backing a game on crowdfunding platforms is not a pre-order, and that backers should be
Absolutely.
aware of the risks, 100%. Yet backers have sued Kickstarter creators before. For board games, what would be one of two examples of the kind of situation in which backers would non-frivolously sue a Kickstarter creator, under
Yeah.
which conditions would suits be pointless based on the Kickstarter terms and conditions? Now, let me take this first. Now, number one, if a company is making best efforts at doing something and they're not able to do it, you're going to have no legal recourse. And I don't even know of somebody who's actually sued successfully when there was an actual
A lot
best
of people
efforts.
are very vocal and very loud about
Right.
it. I ordered this game, I didn't get it, and
Right.
that just doesn't fly.
Right.
There were a couple famous lawsuits that actually did go through and succeed. The biggest one was the Monster Who Ate Atlantic City.
Okay.
So this was a board game that was vaguely a Monopoly derivative, but in essence, the guy collected the money and then took it and ran.
Wow. Yep.
And there's documents that he bought cars, and it was a decently big Kickstarter early on.
Right.
What's really nice is the company Cryptozoic took over the game, published it, and gave it to backers without asking for more.
That's amazing, right?
And that was a huge loss for Cryptozoic, but they did it for the betterment of the community. But
Right.
there was a lawsuit over that
Right.
one.
And that would be a good example of a non-frivolous lawsuit where the creator was documented to have just stolen the money and done non-board game related things to get this game published. But in a point where they just couldn't do it because they were bad business people, let's just say,
And this does happen.
This happens where, we took in $20 for the game and charged $5 shipping, where the shipping is obviously going to be $15 and the game is going to cost us $18 to produce. Well, you're going to go bankrupt. You're just going to go bankrupt on something like that. So there is the way it doesn't work, for you to sue, and the way it can work.
I did a story about it, and I interviewed the designer of the Doom That Came to Atlantic City. That was the title.
Right, I remember
interviewed
this
him,
now.
And that was quite a while back on the Dice Tower Now podcast. Shouldn't be too hard to find.
That's right. There you go. So we'll take one more. We're going long with all of our little interruptions and things. Andris Silizins from Latvia. He's at GT99. He says or asks, last year, Mr. Beast organized. Mr. Beast, by the way, is maybe the largest general influencer. He's got the most followers on YouTube of anybody. It's like tens of millions. Crazy. Anyway, so he organized and won a Dune Imperium tournament. Putin wins his hockey games too.
Now, to be fair, Mr. Beast is a game player, and he's quite good. I think he did fairly win. And he gave up all the prize money and everything. He just gave it away.
I hope you know who Mr. Beast is. He is real-life Willy Wonka. Okay. How board gaming could benefit from Mr. Beast to gain popularity. I don't think anyone in the board game industry could or should sponsor his video. I'm not sure what kind of a statement he's making here. If he doesn't like Mr. Beast,
I actually think he did really good things for the industry. He really liked this game, and this was for the second version, Dune Imperium, and he did a nice tournament where he covered a lot of the costs of it, and he gave a lot of publicity towards Dire Wolf.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's saying that he thinks it was fixed or something like that, but he's a real gamer, so the answer is I don't think that it probably was fixed. I think he is a good gamer, and he won. If he played it against me, he'd beat me, I'm sure.
So the big question at the end is, can you come up with a video concept for a Mr. Beast video involving board games? When will we see an above board TV video where someone gets buried in a coffin and plays through Gloomhaven solo campaign?
Oh my God!
I mean, we have our limits. Do
you?
Yeah,
really?
We have passed on playing board games at Mount Everest, which was a real possibility, and we passed on the running of the bulls because they were truly, utterly hideously dangerous.
That is pretty dangerous. I mean, you could stand on the sidelines, but yeah,
But I mean,
with the running the bulls is very.
Come on, we
very
played a board game
controversial
on a
anyway.
live volcano. We played Surrounded by Sharks,
Yeah.
and what just dropped is we played the bee game. We played apiary while covered in honeybees. So we're doing our best. We don't have Mr. Beast level resources,
Yeah, I don't
but
know, maybe you do.
we have an absolutely insane backer who will pay for ridiculous things.
Let's go on right now to play testing. So last week we actually used a question that was posted for Strategy and Tactics to ask all you from our friend Vincenzo
Yeah.
Amarello. Thank you, Vincenzo, again. Says, I loved this question.
Thank you for adding a question, because Steven is incapable.
I'm pretty much incapable of doing these things, as Corey will tell you. And Corey, that question, which I'm going to read right now, is, so there is Clue the musical,
Right.
which is touring around the country right now. What other board games would be a good candidate for a musical or some type of theatrical
It's a theoretical production.
theoretical production or play. Think Broadway, not movies or TV. What games would work for the stage? This is not necessarily board games that you would like to see as a musical play, but ones that could make a good theatrical production. I added a little stuff around what Vincenzo said.
Now, I just want to put in there really quick that our editor, Jake Thompson, who I've known for a long time.
You might have known him for a long time.
I am
about
almost
30 years.
He's almost like a son to me. And
How old is he?
he's 28.
Oh, well, look at that. I was pretty close.
So he got very excited when he was editing our last episode and came in and said that he had an answer for me.
I want Jake's answer. He's part of the
So,
team here.
Jake's answer is he feels that Guillotine would make a fantastic musical. And he's picturing a line of people on the stage singing polite versions of, no you go in front of me, no you, I'll pass. And every once in a while, the person at the front of the line just falls over dead.
That is absolutely brilliant.
I was tickled.
With and there's all those other cards. I haven't played Guillotine in so long, so there's all those other cards that not only that manipulate the line, but then manipulate hands and all kinds of like fates could
It's a
occur.
classic. It's an old classic game.
It's an amazing game. If you've never played Guillotine, it's really, really cute.
So we've got an answer here. Mike Walecki wrote, might be a bit of a cheat because it's one of my favorite IPs, but Discworld Ankh Morpork. Musicals always need a lighthearted element. This would be perfect. I totally agree.
So
There are a few Discworld games. Ankh Morpork is the king. It is sadly out of print, but it just brings up a whole world that is filled with musical drama potential hilarity.
very cool. Do you have a copy of that one?
I do.
Oh, dude, so do I. So I was gonna brag.
You were gonna rub it in?
I was gonna rub it in.
How many do you have?
I have one copy. I never have more than one copy.
So let's not start the bragging here,
Oh my
sir.
gosh! So John Knost, I have to mention this one. He goes Dark Moon, which was published by Stronghold Games.
Yeah.
Immediately comes to mind any game where there's a hidden traitor that could make good theater. I think another one. How about Tricarian, competing
that would be
Victorian era stage
good.
musicians of production.
Get Hugh Jackman in there. He'll sing the hell out of it.
But Dark Moon is funny that you mentioned that.
Do you
because
know who
really,
the artist on Dark Moon was?
the artist on Dark Moon is Bill Bricker. Of course I do.
It was his first gig, right?
No, Bill did a bunch of things before. It was the first game maybe that he did the entire thing start to finish.
Okay.
But he had done work for me before. that.
Designer?
And he's been, and of course, Bill, let's say, Bill has been in the game industry for 25
Absolutely.
years. The designer is Evan Derrick. He's an amazing
Right.
guy.
He's
Of course I know him. This is my
Head of
pub-
Van Ryder, and I think it was his first.
That was his first game design.
So it's absolutely a landmark title.
Yeah, he's a principal at Van Ryder. He's not the head. He's not the
It
president.
runs it.
Okay, maybe he's COO. I don't know these days. All right, what else do we have here? We have Gavin Kenny. He says, Root the musical. The evil
That was
cats have oppressed the
mine.
forest and tried to enslave everyone else and has started cutting trees with their logging operations.
Absolutely
Our hero,
love it.
a lowly vagabond, must try to get the various other allegiances to revolt. But has our hero actually go to their own agenda to to rule the clearing? Very, very interesting.
Board Game Fangirl says Ticket to Ride would be an excellent canvas for a musical because it's family-friendly content and its story can revolve around visiting various cities. I totally agree. I would take it one step further. I think the Legacy Ticket to Ride, amazing musical Broadway potential there.
And then we have different endings because a legacy game always has different endings.
Just like Clue.
Just like Clue.
There you go.
Technically, Clue the musical has one ending. Clue the movie has multiple endings. Paul Marchbank's very good friend of the show.
This is
Says,
a cheater answer.
And he says Hard Rock the musical. Yes.
Rock Hard.
Rock Hard. Right. One of the hot
Designed
games
by
here. Designed by
Jackie Fox, original member of the Runaways.
Drummer for the Runaways.
Cherry Bomb.
Awesome. That's right. What else we have? Let's take a couple more here. You don't want to go? I'll go.
Oh, I'm fascinated. You're scrolling it. You're in charge of the computer.
All right, here.
Uli Blenneman wrote The Crew. Uli is just insane. I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. I think he's just
trolling
poking
us.
and prodding. I think he's trolling us. The Crew. Oh, come on.
The Matt Halfling, he says Agricola the musical would definitely be a hit, and he gives like
lyrics.
He gets like I say, we're miserable, growing some turnips now. We're miserable, we even now have a cow.
This is fantastic.
Here's some grain. We're sowing it in the ground. Here's some grain. We'll have enough gruel to go around. Get Andrew Lloyd Webber on it as soon as possible. Stephen, I expect you to sing this in the next episode. Well, you should have given
He did it before he even read it.
You should have given me an actual melody to use. I'm just throwing out the words, so that was great. Well, anyway, that was a great one that came from our fan and friend, who was
Vincenzo wrote the question.
Alvarello. So thanks again, Vincenzo.
Absolutely love this question, and all of the answers were just hysterical. This was a great one to browse through.
What do we have here for this week? This is your question, so why don't you read it?
Because I write most of the questions.
You do? Well, these days you do.
Because you don't.
Because I don't. Because I have to make you do something for this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The question this week, brilliantly written by Corey Thompson. What one board or card game is always in your travel bag, just for emergencies? Your go-to game you always carry with you.
Right. At first nothing came to me. Then Corey said, "I know your answer," and it's Cabango. These days,
You've always got it.
That's a new one, certainly, because it just.
I mean, it's been about a year you've been carrying it around.
Since this convention last year. Exactly right.
Yep.
I picked it up at BGG Con. It was an Essen release that I didn't know about, and then I got it here from Amigo. And yeah, I've been taking it to every convention because it's a nice 6-player count game.
Yep.
And it's as light as light can be. You can play it at the bar. It's just a deck of cards. It's really fun. Anything comes to mind for you?
I've had a couple. I tend to be Cult of the New. my favorite game is usually the most recent ones I've played. But Duck and Cover.
Duck and Cover.
Duck and Cover will play a huge group of people. I believe
12?
With the promo it'll play 9.
9. Very good.
And it's simple and easy, and everyone loves it, and it's goofy. The other big one now, I think, is going to be Flip 7.
Yeah, man.
18 players right out of the box.
I have to get that into a different box size because the
It's
box
a big
size
box for
is
a deck of
dumb.
cards.
That's one of those games
Yeah.
that Walmart or Target would say, make this game this big, and I'm putting my hands there as a very small deck of cards. It's only a deck of cards. It's a large deck, probably 200 cards, something like that.
Yeah.
And you can play the game with up to 18 players.
You can play with more if you buy more copies.
And if you buy another copy, you play with more players.
And then I've got classics that I always bring. Texas Showdown is a 6-player goofy trick taker. You're going to argue it's not a trick taker, but it is.
Well, I'm not going to argue. I can't argue that anymore with you. But that's another great one. And it plays a high player count, eight players, right?
6. I think it's 6.
Okay.
And Expressions. They'll do 5, and it's just a simple card game, easy to carry around. People love it.
There you go. So, I, of course, had to do this. I have created a thread on Board Game Geek.
I don't know how to use computers.
You don't, not very well.
No.
It's for you to go out there and answer our question to you. So please do that. And let's get now over to the final score.
You never let me read the final score.
What? I don't want you to. So thank you so much for listening.
One of these
Help us
days you'll
spread
get
the
good
word
at it.
about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. Do you want to be part of this podcast? You can. Go over to the Guild on Board Game Geek. become a member first. We really got to get that membership up to be the second biggest. I don't know where we are right now. Ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, or answer our question to you from playtesting. Simply go do these things. It's so easy, and we'll take your answers in the future. Please interact with us on social media. The handles are the same on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And I just signed up for Blue Sky like this week.
A lot of people
Yeah,
are migrating
all of a
over
sudden
this
people
week.
saying-
I think it's in the cards. I think I got to go.
So it's the same basically everywhere, at Board Games Insider, at Portal Games US, at Podfather Gaming, at Dice Tower Dish, at Play to Z Games, at Above Board TV, and at Nerd About Show. Follow us on the social of your choice and speak directly to us on all these platforms. Check out our websites as well, which also go by the same names. And a special call out specifically to the YouTube channels, which are more or less the bread and butter of the three of the hosts here on this channel: Portal Games Studios, the Podfather Gaming, and Above Board TV. We would really love to see you at a convention. Hopefully we're going to see some people at BGG Con. The next
I've
one,
seen
PAX
a bunch
Unplugged.
of people.
So let's make sure we hang out, talk a little bit, and thank you for being a fan. Board Games Insider, professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Thank you, Jake, for being part of this team and answering our question. Also, the great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, the in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do your voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Corey, comes to the end of the episode. Anything else you'd like to add?
Above board, the next big thing that we've got coming up, we've got the Wasteland Weekend videos. If you don't know, Wasteland Weekend is a Burning Man-like event in the middle of the Mojave Desert where people cosplay as Mad Max and actually build cars, race cars, and fight each other. You can get kicked out if you're not hurt enough, dirty enough, or mean enough.
I don't know why you didn't invite me. I'm all those things. Dirty, mean.
You were probably traveling. So we did videos at Wasteland Weekend thanks to Restoration Games for sponsoring it. We played Thunder Road Vendetta, which I know you don't like that
Which is
game.
my 10-rated #1 game of 2023.
And
Phenomenal.
we built a car for the event and won Best in Show.
That is cool. You built a car and won Best in Show because somebody on the Above
Our
Board team has
host, Leaf.
deep pockets to just buy
no,
anything.
Leaf is an amazing, amazing guy, and he built a car essentially from scratch.
I can't
And
even,
it is incredible.
I can't even address that.
So that's coming up soon.
Wow. Oh, and you're going to do videos and post those videos?
They're almost done.
You're
They're
gonna post them,
coming
though.
up
We're
in
gonna
the
see.
next couple
Awesome.
weeks.
Oh, I can't wait. A Mad Max related Thunder Road restoration sponsored thing.
You got
Love it. And I wasn't invited again.
I invited you. You forgot because you're old, and you were busy because you were on a boat somewhere.
He lies. Lies, lies, and lies. Everybody, thank you again for being part of this. We'll see you next time.
See you later, everyone.